In this lecture, we will be discussing Chapter 1 of The Big Thirst. Big Thirst is the required text for this class. It is the trunk of the tree, let's say, of this class. So the main topic of this text is water, and then all of the articles that we will cover will not tie back to water, but they're branches. They work their way from the main topic of water. This book, The Big Thirst, is an easy read. It's a wonderful read. A lot of former students have told me they read the whole thing in one sitting. So it is a light read. Many of the other articles that we'll cover this semester are a little bit more difficult in terms of content. The Big Thirst, Chapter 1, The Revenge of Water, is a wonderful introduction to this semester. The author of the text, The Big Thirst, is Charles Fishman, and I'm just going to quickly show you the website, thebigthirst.com. Charles Fishman is relatively young. He's 56 years of age, and he is a former reporter, and he also is an extinguished author. He's well known for his book, The Walmart Effect, which exposed the many problems with Walmart across the board. What makes this text really meaningful to me is the fact that Charles Fishman actually lives right outside Philadelphia. He lives on the main line, and so in the text you'll see him reference Philadelphia, and I think this is what makes the text so meaningful to me, is because he's from this area. He understands the water systems of this area. He understands our billing, why our bills are so low, etc. And he brings that into the book. So you'll see some of those references to Philadelphia in the text. Chapter 1 of The Big Thirst really explores our relationship with water. And I can't express it enough. And Fishman, of course, because he's an author, he puts it into these wonderful words on the page. And I want you to take a look at Chapter 2. He just quickly references water is the most familiar substance in our lives. And then on Chapter 3, in the third full paragraph down, Fishman says, given that water is the most familiar substance in our lives and the most important substance in our lives, the really astonishing thing is that most of us don't think of ourselves as even having a relationship to water. It's perfectly natural to talk about our relationship to our car, our relationship to food, our relationship to alcohol or money or to God. And I think this paragraph right here sets the stage for this entire semester in terms of the water topic that we'll cover. And that is that we have this familiar substance, but we just really don't have words. We don't know how to express our relationship with it. We don't know if it has intrinsic or instrumental value. It's just really hard for us to explain this natural thing. And Fishman hits the nail on the head right here. I mean, he says this. He says, we can explain all these other relationships, but for some reason we just don't have the terminology or the ability to express our relationship with this natural resource, which is water. Fishman then goes, so he explores our relationship with water, and then he goes on to explain kind of the history of water and how we've gotten to the point that we've gotten to in our history of the water systems in the United States. Technically, right now, we are in the golden age of water. And when we say the golden age of water, that means that, and when I reference the golden age of water, I'm referencing this in the United States. In the United States, we can turn on our faucet and we have 24/7 access to water, clean, drinkable water. Now, I know there are certain situations that have just arisen in our history. Flint, Michigan, to name one. There's a million other ones where our water systems have failed us. But that's also, and we'll talk about that throughout the course, there are many reasons that our water systems have failed us, and a lot of that is we have not put the money back into our infrastructure, again, our resource infrastructure. The other thing is that we've also allowed the privatization of our water to occur, and we'll talk about those topics throughout the semester. But we're technically in this golden age of water where we are we can access clean, drinkable water 24/7. The pipes are completely invisible to us. When we flush our toilets, we're not sure where that goes. We don't even, a lot of us might not even know where we actually get our drinking water from. We actually get ours from the Delaware River, but a lot of people have no idea. They might think that we get our water from well water, or some people think we get our water from the ocean, but we actually do not in this region. We actually get our water from the Delaware. And so, we're just really unfamiliar with our water systems. And that's because we're in this golden age. We have struggled, and technology has increased so much that has allowed us to get to this point of the golden age. But one of the setbacks of this golden age of water is the fact that we've become water illiterate. And when I say water illiterate, is some of the things that I mentioned before. We have no idea where our drinking water comes from. We have no idea where our sewage goes, how our sewage is treated, the process of sewage treatment, how it's pumped back into the Delaware cleaner than actually our drinking water. So there's lots of illiteracy along the line. A lot of people may have a hard time even understanding the summary that's sent out every year that explains what's in our water, how many parts per million, what does parts per million mean, what is a safe drinking water level. So there's lots of things that we have become illiterate regarding because we live in this golden age of water where water is accessible to all of us all the time. We even now buy our water, bottled water. We pay more than we would if we turn our faucet on, because we are worried about our water system when we're not even sure we understand our water systems. So there's just lots involved with this. And so this golden age has moved everything below the ground, sight unseen. We're not sure what's happening, and that has caused this water illiteracy to emerge. And Fishman discusses this water illiteracy in this chapter. Now he talks about a second modern water revolution that's on its way. And I think a lot of us need to be prepared for that. And that's kind of why we cover this chapter, is because many people say that the second modern water revolution is on its way, and that what we consider water will be considered blue gold, is that we are running out of usable, drinkable water. And there's a lot of things along that line. The water distribution is going to change throughout the world, and some of us will have more access to water, some of us will have less access to water, and we need to figure out what that balance is. So if you look at page 9, towards the bottom, I would say the 4th paragraph from the bottom of page 9, you'll see we are on the verge of a second water revolution, and it is likely to change our attitudes at least as much as the one 100 years ago did. So the fact that we've moved so far, we actually might move backwards now. And he goes on to talk about, on page 9, this new water scarcity that is what we're going to consider the second modern water revolution will reshape how we live, how we work, how we relax. It will reshape how we value water and how we understand it. We have ignored water, neglected our water supplies and our water systems, taken for granted the economic value of abundant water, and become blasé about the day-to-day convenience of easy water. We may well go directly from the golden age of water to the revenge of water. And so this is really the theme of this entire book. And so as you read through the book, you want to keep this in mind. There are clear examples of this revenge of water taking place today. You can see it in Flint, Michigan. Fishman talks about 2 examples in this first chapter. He talks about Barcelona and how, they actually bring in tankers, huge ships, barges with water on it, and pump it into them onto the island. He talks about Orme and how they drive a truck, how they drive a fire truck down the hill. I mean, just these heroic and silly things that we're doing because we have been so out of touch with water and the reality of water that now we're into this panic mode. And in panic mode, we do a lot of heroic and silly things. Instead of fixing the problem, we just patch it with these heroic and silly endeavors. And so this is really really where we are, the bucket brigade. We're almost back to the bucket brigade mentality where everyone would stand in a line and pass the bucket down to put a fire out, is because we've become so detached that we're not even sure how we would access water in case there was a major problem in our water infrastructure system. So what Fishman then kind of takes us through is, all he talks about the second modern water revolution, what this will entail. He talks about the heroic and silly things, and in the end of the chapter, he talks about how hopefully the second water revolution will force us to have that relationship with water that we have but we're not aware of. So he's hoping that the second water revolution will lead to, we need a politics of water. We need an economy of water. We need all of these different, a new language for water. So we need all of these aspects of this relationship to be developed, and we haven't had to do that with the golden age of water, and hopefully with this revenge we will do that. So we will explore ideas for in economics of water. We will explore a new pricing model for water, which a lot of people will be floored about the concept of. And we'll talk about a new language. How do we identify that? What do we use for terminology to talk about water? And we'll talk about all these aspects throughout the semester and throughout this text. And so the whole hope for this, for the future of water, is that we rediscover its true value. And that's what Fishman is trying to get at the end of this chapter, is he's saying we need to rediscover the true value of water before we slip away, before the revenge of water really takes over. Do not forget to take the quiz at the end of this chapter.